Hello and welcome to a VO's Journey podcast. My name is Anthony Pica. This show is all about helping the new and upcoming voiceover artists grow their business and sidestep all of the crazy things that I seem to step on. It is the 30th of November, 2020. We made it through Thanksgiving. We are on the last sprint towards Christmas. And I am thrilled to be coming to you today to talk to you about something that is really exciting me. And, because I'm a challenge kind of guy. I love challenges, and I think this will be a cool challenge. I was on a call with a student just a little bit ago, and we were talking about this, and we were talking about auditioning. And you know me, if you listen, I'm such almost like an anti-audition type of guy, or I have been. But it has always intrigued me also this idea of, 10,000 hours to become an expert at something. And I thought, what if you change the 10,000 hours around to do 10,000 auditions? What would happen? So we're going to talk about that today and talk about something that I'm going to be starting and going to be updating you through. And it's going to be like a challenge, and I'm going to give you a challenge. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, let's do it.
This is VO's Journey. With your host, the incomparable Anthony Pica.
All right, so before break, I went ahead and reinvested into some more time with Voice 123 and into their tier system, because I wanted to, let people know what was going on with them. Also to see, are these tiers working? I mean, are people getting, if you have more money and you're paying, like for example, Voice 123, are you actually going to be getting more work from them? Do you know what I mean? Like that's really something that I'm interested in. And, because I think with Fiverr and Upwork, I think there's a battle between them that's looming, especially with Upwork launching, their gigs. Fiverr's not going to just stand by. I think they're going to go to war over that, at least the silent war. But, I think that if we are looking for room to expand our voiceover business, it might be interesting to look at some of these sites that many people are still using but haven't got as much attention because of sites like Upwork and Fiverr, who are just becoming they are the Goliaths in the room, right? And now these other sites who still have big crowds and work, but they're based on auditions. They don't have as much clout. So I wanted to talk to you about something I'm thinking about doing, and I want to challenge you. So basically what I want to do is I want to see, what if we decided that we were going to, look at one of these pay-to-play sites, or look at auditioning and say, you know what, if I did X amount of auditionings, all right, auditions, and, I tallied that up and that generated Y amount of business. Okay. If I could begin to standardize those numbers, meaning that I can expect to get this for this. Once you can, closely predict how many auditions it would take you in order to get work, and then what's that average job price per job that you get, well, then you can start to set up a model for yourself on actually what you need to be doing in order to grow your business on a predictable level. So, for example, I was looking at, the numbers. I said 10,000, right? 10,000 hours. So if we switch that to 10,000 auditions, and this is what I just did some quick math, right? So if you did 10,000 auditions over 365 days, it comes out to like roughly 27 or 28 auditions a day, right? And at 365 days, that includes, weekends, right? So, that's 27, 28 auditions a day. And if you determine that an audition, right, you're going to keep an audition to 10 minutes, all right, per audition, then if you did 27 auditions a day, that would be 270 minutes. And if my math is correct, that's a little over what's about 4.5 hours, all right, of auditioning a day. Now, that's a lot of hours. At the same time, 4.5 hours is a doable number. This is what interests me, and I because to me it's like it's interesting to step back and look at, okay, is it possible for me to get work? And is it possible for me to actually put in the amount of work that I'm claiming I want to put in? So let's say, for example, that if you did the 10,000 auditions over a year, and you could say that I am banking on getting 1%, all right, conversion, meaning that out of 100 auditions, I plan on getting one job. And if I could set that average job price at $300, right, because that's pretty standard, I mean, across the board with a lot of these places. That doesn't mean there's not smaller or bigger, but a lot of them cite, $300 as the average. So if you were to say that's the average and you were to get that, if you tally that up over 10,000 auditions over 365 days, it comes out to $30,000. So, looking at that number, $30,000, the question is, how many hours then are we working? So if we are working, all right, what did I say? I said if we are working 4.5 hours times 365, right? Like I'm literally using my calculator, right? That's 1,642 hours, 42 hours, 0.5, so if out of 1,642 hours, all right, we divide that by 30,000, and let's see, what did I say? Divided by, I think it's, you go the other way, right? It's like, wait a minute. I got to do math and I got to do it live. Oh no. So, all right. So basically, that boils down between $15 to $20 an hour. All right. So that's an interesting look at it, right? That's an interesting look. If you think about, now, of course, these are broad numbers. When it looks at, could it be more? Absolutely. Could it be less? That's a possibility. Could you double that and get 2%? I mean, that would change all of that. I think a lot of times when we're looking at our businesses, especially us moving forward to this December and then in 2021, we look at it from the standpoint of, well, this is not like a normal type of salary or normal work, right? We get paid in chunks of money. But, being paid in a chunk of money, that's just the way you're paid. I mean, the way you receive that money, it's not necessarily, if you were to break it down, it still can be broken down into an hourly number. How many hours did you spend to generate this money? And remember, hours come in different ways. It's not hours that you spent, just doing voiceover. It's hours you spent working on the back end of stuff, hours you spent on equipment, hours you spent on this and that, right? It's the leverage of your time and your efforts. What is that getting you? So this is an interesting thing. So if I was to look at this and say, all right, so I'm looking at about $17, $18 per hour if I was to do 10,000 auditions and I got 1% of those auditions, and it was an average of price around $300 per job, that would be around $30,000. So we're talking $17, $18 an hour. I don't know about you, but that's not bad. That's not going to get us the Ferrari we've been hoping for, right? That's not going to get us. Is that still a decent amount of money? Absolutely. But I do want to also add in, though, the thought about the multiplier here that we're not talking about, and that is repeat business. So if we were to look at the fact that, if we are getting 1%, right, of 10,000 jobs, right? I believe 1% of 10,000 is, let's see, I believe that is 100. Is it not? I believe so. Yeah, it's 100. So if you had 100 jobs, all right, 100 jobs, how much of those jobs will become, how many of those people or those clients will become repeat clients? And interestingly enough, how many of them will actually be, how many of that 100 orders would have been repeat orders too, right? So we're not taking in consideration the snowball effect. So if we look at the 80-20 rule, right, because that rule pretty much stands firm no matter what you do, it seems like, meaning that you generate 80% of your money from 20% of your clients. So if we looked at, to judge out of 100 clients, maybe we could bank on, 15 or 20 of them becoming clients that work with us on a regular basis. That then would snowball into the next year, right? It's kind of like it's kind of like playing when you're doing, I don't know if any of you are investors or you've looked into investing in the stock market, or if not, but I know you've heard of compound interest, right? And I think if we look at us working with our voiceover business that way and compound interest when it comes to clients, right? So let's say year one, all right, we did this, we made $30,000, we did 100 jobs. Moving into year two, if we can plan on doing the same thing, all right, now mind you, we're going to get better. So you might find that you actually get better, right? And by getting better, you might find that we actually do more. But for the sake of this, let's just keep everything equal so we can play out the scenario. So let's say that you do get 20 more clients that are repeat business. Okay. So now for the same amount of 10,000 hours, all right, that you put in, okay, then you are literally going to get, instead of 30,000, all right, now we've got 120 clients, all right, now we're up to 36,000. Okay. And then the next year, all right, we add out of 120 clients. All right, now we've got, let's say we've got 140 clients now. All right, and we're basically, now mind you, this is if we are averaging out to only $300 and 1%. I mean, these are low numbers. Could you do higher than that? Sure, you could. What if you got 3 jobs out of 100? You know what I mean? What if you started getting 1 job out of every 30? Like I do, like that's a Fiverr number for me. I get a job out of every 30 clicks or so. Like these numbers are low so that we can just use them as an example. But if the next year you move up to 140 clients, okay, and you start to if you multiply that out, then 140 clients times 300 equals $42,000. So now you see where we're starting to compound this. And by the way, here's where this is an important way to look at this. When I first started my business, the money I took in was so very much just like play money. Meaning like I was like, oh my gosh, I made money. Let's go out to dinner. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't, I, at the time, and that's my fault, of course, but at the time I wasn't really considering my business necessarily a business, right? It was more like, just something I was trying to do. I was excited about being hired to do something and I made money. That's cool. But money was never, it was always the long term for me. Like I was always thinking, well, if I could just make this money on a monthly basis, do you know what I mean? That's going to really help in the long run, right? Because I can leave my job, I can do all this and that, or I can, buy some extra things, or, I never figured I'd make a bunch of money overnight on this, which is interesting because a lot of other things I did, I tried to. This is the only one I did it, and, fancy that it was successful. But, I think for the sake of all of this, if I took some of that money and reinvested it, right, into, let's say, for example, working with an assistant who could do send, Fiverr requests or Fiverr buyer requests every day for me, or send Upwork proposals for me every single day. So now I'm leveraging this money, okay, that I have. I'm investing it back into my business to leverage someone else's time, okay? And, if I leverage someone's time and paid them, $20 a day, and, they were bringing me in $100 to $200 a day, well, then that just really increases a lot of, that increases a lot of your percentages. But here's the rub, right? Once you do that, you're going to start again to build more and more repeat clients. See, it's funny when we listen to people who've been doing this for a long time, and they're like, oh, they make all this money a month, and you're like, it's amazing. There are heroes, right? But if you look deeper into their business, now don't get me wrong, they have done amazing things, but what you notice about them compared to the rest of us, I think this is this little thing called time, right? Time to me is the ultimate equalizer, because I think time will tell you, whether you like it or not, whether if you're going to be successful, and a lot of the people that we look at that are making, $10, $15, $20,000 a month or more, through voiceover are people who've been doing this for a long time. And when I mean a long time, I mean, 10, 15, 20 plus years. And they've built up this client base as well. Now, don't get me wrong. That doesn't mean they're not getting new clients by the droves, but, basically they have built up systems and clients and repeat customers so that they have time to, again, invest in new client acquisition. All right. And not just get stuck on, the bare basics of us just trying to get the train rolling. So, and I just say that because what I want you to take away from this is that, none of this is built overnight. None of this is built through one audition. You could make an argument we can build this one audition at a time, but, it's one of those things where it's never built just in one day or 1 week or even 1 year. Because look at it this way. Let's say 1 year you had a stellar year and you made $100,000. Well, what happens after that? Right? I mean, your need for money doesn't go away. Our need for, having resources to fund our lives and our families and whatever else we're doing doesn't stop. This is a long-term game, you guys, right? This is long-term. This is a long marathon. And many of the people I work with and I coach too, just like myself, I don't plan on doing anything else. This is it for me. Does that mean that something won't happen one day and I can't imagine ever doing anything else now. I don't want to. Right? And this is the first time in my life that I've come to that realization. Every other job I've ever had, I was always temporary until I found something else. But this, right, I don't want to ever do anything else. So if we look at it that way, that means you've got 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years of work. Even if you're retired, you got 30, 40 years, and don't be like, oh, I ain't got that much. Whatever. Times are changing. People are living longer. But what I'm getting at, though, is there's so many things for us to think about. But in the end, for me, and I wanted to put this out there for you guys today, is that, I want to challenge us to take on this idea of 10,000 auditions. Now, you might be like, all right, well, I love this idea, but man, 4.5 hours a day, or can I do that? Absolutely not. Now, mind you, that was based off of, could you do an audition in 10 minutes? What if you get an audition? Maybe what if you find a way to do auditions in 5 minutes, right? You can do an audition in 5 minutes and you start pumping them out and you put together templates and you find new ways and quick ways to submit things. And you realize, well, man, I'm really up in my game. It only takes me about 2.5 hours to do that. Well, that's massive leverage, right? You're talking something pretty crazy. All right. But then it's also what time and when during the day do you do it? When are you getting auditions? Here's another challenge, right? How do you get that many auditions a day? We're talking 27 auditions Maybe you only can get 10 a day, and that's still a lot of auditions, right? So then you say, all right, for 10 a day, I'm going to do 5 days a week. That's 200 auditions a month, and that's 2,400 auditions a year. Out of that, what's my this is all a challenge. So I challenge you to set a specific number of auditions that you are going to do a day. And I want to challenge you, okay, right now to get started for 2021. Don't wait until 2021. All right, let's get started now. All right, and we can move on into 2021 so you get an actual extra month to work out everything, all the logistics of it. But set a number, whether it's, 3 auditions a day, 5 auditions a day, 10 auditions a day, 20 auditions a day, 30. Set a number, and I want you to track those auditions, okay? I'm going to do the same. I'm going to set a number. Am I super ridiculously busy with everything else? Absolutely. But I want to do this challenge with you because I think I want to once and for all, I want to once and for all put to bed the idea whether these platforms, these pay-to-play platforms, are going to make us money or not make us money. Now, I didn't mention, we're talking, the reason why I just mentioned pay-to-play is because that's generally speaking where you're going to get auditions from. Could you go down the rabbit hole and do auditions on ACX and count that? Sure, you can do that. I don't think on ACX, though, the difference is going to be the number, you're not going to make, no matter what we do, guys, with audiobooks, there's so much more work available for everybody, but they're still like the not nice stepchild or no one likes or whatever, like whatever that saying is, redheaded stepchild. I don't know what that's saying. I don't know why that came up with that. But anyways, because they're just not going to ever make as much money as a commercial job, with the time put in, etc. So with all that being said, I want to challenge you. I'm going to do it myself, and I want to see us put in, a monthly quota of auditions. And the key here is to focus on the auditions and use the auditions as a measure, the lead measures. I love to talk about lead measures and lag measures, right? The lead measures, putting in the auditions to then measure what results happen. Does that make sense? So if I put in X amount of work, all right, then this happens. But we want to measure the daily amount of work you're doing, not the result. We measure the result too, but the result comes at the end. So when the result comes, we can't do anything about it, right? But we can do something about the lead measures. Right now, our job is to figure out how many auditions is it going to take you to get a single job. And once we get that idea down, then we can start to plan. And by the way, this doesn't mean we're not going to get better, right? Because we're going to get better, right? We're going to do more and more and get better at this. So anyways, that's my challenge to you. I'm going to come back. We're going to talk about this, how it starts and, how many we're going. I'm going to try to myself to get started today on it. By the way, this does not negate all the rest of the work you've got to do. But if we're looking to grow our business, this is important, guys, growth. Businesses that are not growing die. They've got to grow. So we've got to grow our business. So looking for December, looking into 2021, what is our growth model? What are we doing? What are we setting down for goals as ways to grow? This could be one of those models that you set. Will you have to invest in a pay-to-play if you're not currently? Possibly, yes. If you don't currently have an investment in Voice123, Voices.com, Voice Realm, etc., you know what I mean? That might be something for you to do. Or you can use ACX, which is free. You're just going to be doing audiobooks, which you will have a lot lower. By the way, with audiobooks, it's usually more like 10%. For every 10 auditions, I'd get a job, or 10 or 12, I get a job. So you're going to get a lot more jobs, but the way, how much money you make is going to be dependent upon that. But you can decide to do whatever way you want. But, if it might be something that you want to invest in one of these platforms or save up in December to invest for 2021. But that's what I'm going to do. I have a membership to Voice123. I also have a membership to the Voice Realm. And, I'm going to be using these platforms to audition, and I'm going to be reporting back to you and tell you these numbers, how's it going, et cetera, the speed, maybe even tips and tricks and things I come up with in order to speed up auditions. All right. And also, voices.com, it's interesting, they have resources like, coach sessions and things like that they try to help people get work. So it's definitely something interesting, and that's my challenge to you, and I'm excited about it, you guys. I'm excited about it. Well, hey, listen, let's go ahead and call it quits for today. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. If you get a chance, please feel free to head over to iTunes and leave a review, or Spotify or Pocket Cast, wherever you're listening to. I really appreciate it. And also, if you haven't had a chance to head over to VOsJourney.com, check out our new marketing course, as well as our Fiverr Elite group. We'd love to have you. All right, guys, you have a wonderful, 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 wonderful day. I will talk to you soon. All right, peace.